Alrighty, welcome back, Moss on Sundays. Again, hope you're doing really well. I know the XI community is. For those new people, welcome. We'll get you there. Especially in this time where there's a lot of chaos in the world, right? There's a lot of situations in the world, and that might rise as well as tensions rise as say this consciousness or this reality, breaks apart. Today, we're going to be talking about critical success traits nobody knows about, not even the, people like Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza and all that. They don't know why people are really successful. We'll talk about that. But as I analyze some of my predictions, again, well, almost all of them have become very accurate. So just giving you a heads up. Right, is that in the near future, in the next few weeks, a lot of things will show up for us, right? And there might be a lot of tension, but for those who are on top of the wave, you'll see that things go really great for you. Things get better and better, things get brighter and brighter, you become wealthier, all aspects of wealth, not just money wealth, but you'll feel more secure and stable. As well, the world breaks apart into a new self. Again, it's not the end of the world, it's the beginning of a new paradigm, right? So with anything, as anything breaks apart for the new to come in, there are people that need to break apart, right? Their life, their habits, their patterns, their belief systems, all those things are breaking apart in today's society. So whatever does not hold truth will start to crack, break apart, whether it's at personal level where you are, internal level where you are, family dynamics, company dynamics, country dynamics or state, country, and then the world dynamics. So leadership, religions, financial systems are breaking down. They're transitioning from the old paradigm completely into a whole new different paradigm. Again, away from the currencies and all that into something much more solid, much more efficient, right? And much more free for the masses. That's going to be happening, missions and all that. Although we had a demonstration last week. Give me a second, guys, so you can hear better. Although we had a demonstration here last week, a young black kid got shot again. And again, is it true or not? Not exactly sure, but is it more chaos? But it didn't go anywhere. Not because, Black lives don't matter or anything like that, but there are better ways to solve that solution, to get rid of it once and for all. That segregation, that prejudice, that separation, that's going to be discontinued. It's not a mode of control anymore, and you'll see that there is going to be a separation, but it's not going to be of color, creed, religions, money, anything like that. It's going to be how awakened you are. There's going to be a huge difference on how awakened you are and how not awakened you are. And that's going to be the great divide that you'll see coming up in the near future. So the people who are awakened, again, fantastic. They're gonna see their wealth and everything else improve dramatically. And then the individuals who aren't, well, they're gonna have to go through some introspection and get rid of those belief systems that they hold that aren't true. Can you guys hear me okay? I know there's a delay, but Yami, just let me know if you can hear me okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, sounds good. All right. So what does that mean? Again, it's a great opportunity. It's one of the best opportunities in history to awaken and reclaim who you really are. So the whole process that we're going through, again, it's not just, a government change and all that bullshit. This is literally where humans start to become humans. That's the key. We're not going to be like slave nations. We're not going to be, making money so I can retire, so I can go back to being human. It's not about that. right off the get-go, you're gonna feel fantastic. So that's the exciting part about it. How do you get there? Well, through XI, exponential intelligence, the body of knowledge that I tapped into, that has helped hundreds and hundreds of thousands throughout the world expand into their limitless self, okay? Their grander being. That's what it's all about. The new paradigm is literally becoming the grander version of who you are, living it, not hiding it. And then someday I wish, I wish it would show up. I hope it shows up. It's not about that anymore. Your grander version of who you are is going to show through, whether you like it or not, because that's the new consciousness that we're getting into. If you're too afraid of that, well, figure it out, because again, whether you like it or not, you're going to be on the stage of your life. And then once you step into it, again, all the fears and all that you'll feel is the old garbage that needs to leave. But once you step into it, it's like, shit, this feels good. This is the way humans should be. So XI literally helps you be, or XI builds better humans. It's all very simple. And that's what we do in a nutshell. How do we do that? Through frequencies. Again, it's not about psychology or anything like that. That's what we'll get into. The one critical success trait that nobody knows about, although everybody talks about, they know about success, like I was saying, and this is the key trait that hyper successful individuals possess, right? So what is hyper successful? It's a word that I always coin new words. Hyper successful individuals is that individual, that one individual that, say, can shift and transform the world with their ideas and their concepts. And they might not have political power or money or all that, but how the hell do they change it? Because there's a bigger component that has more power, more wealth, more materialization, say, capabilities than anything that's here physical, okay? And that's the one key trait that hyper successful individuals have. Again, hyper successful individual, that definition is that one individual that can change the masses radically, take humanity into a different direction. So that's hyper successful. But if you're not that hyper successful, if you just want to be successful, like, a millionaire or a billionaire, it's the same key trait, just at a very different level. Okay. But you talk about Jordan Peterson and Tony Robbins and others of the self-improvement industry field, and they say it's psychology. It's about training your brain. It's about the state that you're in. But that's not the main driver, because a lot of people have psychology. They have the psychology, they have the mindset, but they're not successful, right? They're not complete. They have that positivity, they have that gung-ho mentality, and then some of them that do have that gung-ho, they destroy themselves. So in that scenario, again, the psychology, the mental trait will get you to success, like a lot of money, but then you destroy yourself with that money. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go towards money. You shouldn't become wealthy, because that's part of who you are, the grander version of who you are. But again, that's not the key component. It's only part of the answer for you to become successful. Okay, this is where, and I'm connecting with a lot of CEOs and so on. This is where, they just bulldoze their way through and create success. Jeff Bezos, look at Steve Jobs, all those individuals, they're icons of society, right? They're icons of society. It's like, oh shit, I want to be like Steve Jobs. I want to be like so-and-so, and even Elon Musk, but when you work for them, they're not so great, right? They destroy the culture. They even the Google campus was supposed to be a fantastic, say, opportunity, right, for people to grow and expand themselves. It literally turned into a prison. So again, those are the key traits that people think are going to make you successful. But long term, if you look at the long term consequences, you did become successful. You might be the largest corporation in the world, but again, it's hell working there. It's hell you being one of the CEOs there, because it destroys you. So is that really wealth? So again, when I talk about success, I'm talking about when they talk about being committed to success, right? You have a goal and you're committed to it, or you pay attention to that one thing, or making incisive effort, again, a specific goal, and you're there. And this theory is partly true too. And I'm not saying any of these guys, by the way, guys, I love all these guys. They have fantastic content. I'm not saying they're wrong, but they don't have the complete answer. They have the surface level layers of the answer. I'm going to the top, or the first principle answer on why people are successful. Okay. And yes, those things attribute to it, but the main reason on why they have the attitudes, why they have the psychology, why they have all these things that they do is because, again, the top level reason, the first principle reason on why they're successful. Imagine it this way. And not to get too religious or anything like that, but I study all the religions. Prophet Muhammad, okay, and again, it's not a religious experience or talk. It is just about the man. I have my kids come. It's just about the man, just like Jesus. It's not about the religion. It's about the man. It's Buddha. I talk about Buddha. It's not about, again, the religion. I talk about, and there's this great story. He used to pray, and, he was in war, and he got shot with an arrow. And back then, they didn't have, things to numb the pain. So what he said was, well, I'll go into prayer, and then you pull the arrow out. Right? And people go, well, what the hell? So he goes into prayer. He goes into deep states of, not deep states of escaping your body, but deep states of being who you are, the grander version. They pull out the arrow. Right? So what does that have to do with what I'm talking about? Right? So that person had that success trait that I'm talking about. Buddha, Jesus, many other great individuals, say, religious type individuals. But the reason why they became, say, those icons of those religions, by the way, most of them didn't create the religion. They were created after those great individuals. So just think about that as well. And even the religions, and again, this isn't a religious talk, but many of you are taunted or haunted by, say, religion and spiritual notions. So I have to talk about that as to help you, say, come into that success trait as we step into the meditations. Okay, so what was the difference? So many people go, oh shit, Prophet Muhammad, he was he had all, like, so that's what it is. And then people copy how he prays. So people copy, for example, a business person. He's gung-ho about something. He, jots things down, and people look at his success. It's like, oh shit, that's because he jots things down, and that's why he's successful. Or, people associate anything to anything to make sense of what's going on, but we don't understand the underlying reason. We only observe by our five senses, right? If we were hypersensitive, we'd understand, again, the deeper reasons. So somebody, say, would eat grapefruit in the morning, and he becomes successful. And then you hear the news that, shit, this guy eats grapefruits in the morning. And it's happened, by the way. It's not so far-fetched. This guy eats grapefruits in the morning, and he's really successful. And, on interviews, he talks about, well, you know what? And maybe he's eating a grapefruit on the interview. It's like, wow. So you associate success with grapefruit. And then there's going to be a rage on, hey, we got to eat grapefruit. And then that's going to make me successful. So again, psychology and all those things are literally consequences that were, say, put together, incidences that were put together similar. And it's like we've associated that to success. Again, like psychology, key traits in psychology, all that. Yes, they're factors, but the underlying reason why that it worked for that one person is because they had this underlying trait. Okay? This is where you read success books, right? All success books are the exact same example that I explained earlier about Prophet Muhammad, right? Somebody is successful, he writes a book, he goes on stage and goes, well, I'm successful because of X, Y, and Z. You do X, Y, and Z, and what the hell happens? Not much. You might be a little happier. And then what's worse, you go into these self-improvement, seminars, these rah seminars, all these things. And, I'm powerful, I'm a gladiator, I'm this and that. And then but you're still a sheep on the inside. That's the other key trait as well, or consequences of all these other conceptions on why success works, is that, and I'll give you another example, okay? Just for clarity. Say that you, say that you've got a house, trying to get the best scenario, the most accurate scenario. Say that you're building a house, or you inherited a house, okay? That house is basically your identity, okay? You inherited that house from your parents. Again, hereditary patterns. The shape of the house, shape of your body, the condition of the house, all that, or the condition that it'll be in the future. All those things are based on what your mom gave you, or your parents gave you. But they inherited that house from their grandparents and their grandparents and their parents and all the way back. So the house that you're living, that you're existing, the idea, the shape, the concepts and all that was created, I don't know, thousands of years ago. In your lineage, you're living in that house. You're still holding on to possessions that was ages ago. So what psychology dictates and what you dictate is like, well, shit, I don't like this room. I'm going to go spruce it up. I'm going to change the paint. I'm going to change the furniture. But then, the electrical is antiquated. It might look a little better. And then you go, well, shit, money's going to help. I'm going to redesign the whole house. But again, the foundation of that house is still the same. You can't change the foundation. You can't change the structure of the house. So what XI does, and what these people do, is like, shit, no, let's leave all this stuff behind. We don't have to update it. We don't have to do anything to it. Let's just create a brand new consciousness, or a brand new house that has everything set according to our standard, according to our greater version. Okay, so that's another example. CEOs that are out there, most CEOs that are out there, they're basically sheep in, say, Alliance Clothing. They didn't like who they were for some reason or another. Okay, they didn't like who they were, or they wanted to become somebody else. It doesn't matter. They like who they are. They wanted to become bigger, or then they lose their identity. Either way, again, they're identical. Their original self is the same. They put on, again, sheep. They put on, or a rabbit, or whatever. They put on a lion's clothing on the outside. Again, disparity. So they lose, again, their identities. Okay? What I'm talking about, the one key trait. So again, they lose their identities through money, through psychology, through this, all that. Again, not themselves. The one key trait resolves all that, because it identifies your inner core of who you are, not the outer core of who you think you are, and then you adjust it by, having a bigger company, having a bigger car, or more women, or whatever it takes to you to feel successful. Let's take a deep breath in. So the one key trait, and some of you go, well, I've heard this before. No, you haven't, unless you're an exile. The one key trait is being in space and time. And some of you go, well, what do you mean I am in space and time? You're really not. And it gets a little techie or a little sciencey on that. And these are where the XI lectures would really benefit you, or the XI podcast, Exponential Intelligence Podcast. It gets into the logistics, okay? But just an overview. The one key trait that they have is focus. And it's not focus. You go, well, I have focus because I'm stuck on a goal, and that's not the focus. In fact, that kind of focus destroys your propensity to become a massive or hyper successful individual. That kind of focus, that kind of intensity, because you're using sheer willpower. Okay, hyper successful or key people, they don't have that kind of focus. They don't focus in on an object, and I'll tell you in just a second. So the one key trait that I'm talking about, again, is that the crossroads of space and time. Okay? So you have time. It's always constant. It's always going. It's not a variable like some scientists think. You can't expand and contract time, although your idea or rendition you can. But again, time itself is a constant. So with time, there's present moment time, okay? And then a reality. There's only one reality that exists. And this is what Jesus was talking about, by the way. Again, not the religion, the man. He was talking about there's only one path to enlightenment or to God. And then many people go, well, you got to go through Jesus. Didn't say that, but a conversation. So for you to munch on, many of you are probably feeling very different because of the frequency. So again, as I talk, I scan or analyze the group and see what's coming up for you. Okay? And then later on, we'll actually do individuals analysis or scans to see what's going on with you and then remove it. But that comes up in just about 10 minutes. So let's take a deep breath in. So what these people do, or when I say they're in space and time, they're in present moment time. Again, it's not the time on your wrists or your smartphones. It's frequencies, time-based frequencies, okay, that are nature or nature time, and then Earth time, and then universal time. So everything is run on a clock. The way the way the Earth orbits around the sun, the moon, all those, they're time factors, right? You get down into Earth factors. Earth has its own set of, say, time standards, right? It dictates the seasons and all that. And then you have nature. Nature has its own, say, time standards. And this is where biological functions and so on go on. Your body's chemistry, how you age, you hit around puberty, right? That's a time factor. Monthly cycles for a woman, that's a time factor. The processes of aging, that's not nature's time factor, by the way. That starts to come into human time factor. So as a society, humans age very differently than, say, animals or other species, because again, we've created our own time factor, and that's the point that I'm getting to. Humans have created a time factor of their own. It doesn't coordinate, it doesn't resonate with nature, which resonates with Earth, which resonates with universal time. We're on a time scale of our own. We think we're on our own base. We're not. We're always connected to, again, the base layer. Those individuals that have that one key trait, they're closer to the base time function. Because if the closer you are to the crossroads or the crosshairs of time and space, the more abundant that you are. The closer you are to that time and space, and I'll put it in different versions, okay? Because there's different people, religious people, spiritual people, science people. The closer you are to that space and time function, okay? Again, the crossroads, that 0 point, okay? All possibilities for you are available. Not just available, but you have access to those possibilities because you have the propensity to hold on to those possibilities. That makes sense to you. The closer you are to that crosshairs of time and space, the more connected you are to your spirit. Okay? The more you live out of your truth, all the lack, the shortage, the incompleteness, the pains, the burdens. Again, you're living in a reality that's a lie. That force within, as Yoda would put it. Again, all those aspects of who you are start to occur, or you start to be, as you get closer to the crossroads of space and time. Okay? So no matter how you define it, again, religion defines it, but, well, if you get closer to God, then you're going to be abundant. And a lot of people are close to God, they're not abundant. Right? And the reason why, it's like, well, God is teaching me this. That's bullshit. They're not. God doesn't teach you anything. You teach yourself. God doesn't care, by the way. Again, another subject. But my point is that as long as you stay in space and time, you would understand the concepts of God, the concepts of spirituality, the concepts of where wealth comes from, the concepts of where all scientific evidence comes. Every aspect, again, will be clarified the closer you are to space and time. So the one key trait that people have that are hyper successful, the one key success trait is that they have pinpointed exactly the trait, or exactly, say, the coordinate that they need to be in. So although that person could be way the hell out here, they're lost, they're destroyed, they're addicted to drugs, they're all fucked up as all hell, they wake up and they go, shit, I got to be connected to that one point in time, which is present moment time in reality. Okay, all other realities that exist out there, they don't have, say, the energy or the momentum. Okay? For example, if you're the one point, the 0 point, we'll just call it. Okay, that's a crossroads of space and time, and your wealth. Many of you want to create wealth, right? That's out of the 0 point. That's like positioned here. You will get wealth, but you would lose your identity. So that wealth doesn't function for you well. Okay, non-wealth. The other people go, well, shit. I'm not going to be wealthy because I lose myself. You're still out of time as well. Again, in either one, it doesn't work. I just want to break that paradigm, okay? Because the paradigm that I'm trying to break is, before we get into the meditation, is the concept that if you get wealthy, you're greedy and you're going to lose yourself. You're not connected to God, and that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. The closer you are to space and time, the closer you are to all of your possibilities. Again, your spirit. So let's take a deep breath in. So that person, however far they are from that reality, once they hone in, right, on, it's like, shit, I need to be in this coordinate, they zone in. And that's the one key trait that they have. They focus in on where they need to be, right? Not what they need to be, not their psychology, but they focus in. If you see those individuals, you can see that they're in a whole different zone. They're very present. They're very aware of their reality, right? Those individuals that are, say, focused on an objective, like making, $1 million a day or a month or all that, you see that all the other possibilities get removed from them, right? The people who are focused in on connecting to the space and time, right? Their timeless self, their limitless self, rather than a limited object. What happens is, as they get closer to that point in time, what happens is that all possibilities that allow them to connect with that start to awaken, start to come forth, start to materialize. This is where, people go from rags to riches. This is where people, from, say, the most miraculous thing, they become successful. This is why, because again, they're connected. Now, there are other reasons that could happen. But again, for those people who are hyper successful, the way I'm talking about it, yes, it is them. It is their power that constitutes that all aspects of themselves, or to get to the point, again, another way, to get to the point of 0 point for them, okay? All aspects of their reality or environment come together to propel them forward. Okay? So most people, again, when people are, say, focused, because it's not the same, it's very different. When people become so focused on a goal, right? And that's what, again, all these great individuals teach you, and then executives teach you, and even people who are successful, they teach you, focus in on a goal. That's not what you want to do. Right? It's the total opposite. You want to focus in on your limitless self. But when people do that, again, they shut down everything around them, and it's just a narrow path. And that narrow path, again, turns into a ridge, just a line. And then if you fall off that ridge, and you've seen many people who don't achieve their goal, they fall off that ridge, right? And they destroy themselves through addictions, through abuse patterns, through death, whatever it might be. That's the reason why, because they eliminated the safety mechanism, the safety space that not only provides materialization, probabilities, all the possibilities, but then again, it narrows it down. So instead of huge, space where they can, say, traverse and seek better concepts, ideas to get to that point, they've narrowed it down to exactly one layer, one like tightrope that they have to walk. Many individuals fall off that tightrope, even if they create that success. The one I'm talking about is like they focus in, and then all possibilities create. Okay? This is more of a higher level, and not to get spiritual again or religious, but this is where the power, your innate power, comes in, and this is where those godlike abilities come in. This is where, like, say, God says, hey, let there be light, or let there be a rabbit, and then there it is. It shows up. The environment for that rabbit to show up, right? Or to create abundance for itself, or to survive also gets created around it. Again, they don't have to go, well, what does a rabbit need? They don't do that. It just says rabbit. So same thing here. I want to connect to my highest possible self. Again, I want to connect to my limitless self, my timeless being. And then the wheels of your identity or the wheels of your higher self come through. It's like, well, what does that mean in this reality, in this environment? Oh, it means that I need wealth because I need to travel around. I need to experience the world. That means I need to have a healthy body. It's like, oh, so that starts to show up. You start to change your habits, your psychology, and all that. I need a fantastic relationship because I can't have relationships. I can't be my best possible self if my relationships suck, because that'll drag me down. Again, so you'll start to eliminate all those things that are dragging you down so you can, again, go towards your goal faster. So that one key trait, we'll instill that in you right now. It took a little longer, but right after this, we'll get into, and I'll get you into that one point of focus. Fastest way to transform a breath in again. Deep state. Notice how you're feeling. Again, I didn't guide you going, oh, think of something relaxing or go into your happy place and all that. You can think of anything you want. Doesn't matter. If you're on this call, even if you're listening to it later, you'll see that you get into a different consciousness, or again, a reality that's closer to that 0 point. So it bypasses your psychology, your belief system, and all that. Take a deep breath in. And again, another breath in. Notice how you're feeling. Notice that solidness, that completeness. If you've looked at people who've changed the world, they have that solidness, that identity. If you've ever wondered what that is, it's because they're in space and time. All aspects of them are in one reality. They have that look, again, that could cut through any bullshit or anything to get to where they need to go. It's not that they force themselves. They just are a great force. Breath in again. And notice I didn't put you into a state, a psychological state. Put you into a state of being, a different consciousness. So it's your job, again, now that you know the focus of what you want, you focus in on this and forget about making money or getting a relationship or whatever that you do, just focus in on that one key aspect, right? Of finding your higher self, your limitless self. Just for a week, just give it a try. Just ask yourself, how can I be my limitless self even more? And just keep asking that. As you do, you'll start to see that, one, you'll be healthier, your relationships will get better. But as you go through the process, by the way, it is a cleaning, because if you're holding on to relationships or health patterns or money issue patterns or habits, those things that need to fall away, right? So you become more and more efficient as you go towards your goal. But again, just keep focusing just on that one key aspect. How do I become my limitless self and focus in on that grander version? Again, no definitions of God or religion or anything like that, but just ask yourself, how do I become my limitless self? No definitions on my limitless self is, well, I'm atheist, and that's how I connect. And I use atheism as a religion because it's another religion, guys. Let's just face it. We just call it something different. So you can stay in this space. We'll get into the analysis in just a second. This one, Bill Gates never seemed too solid. No, that's how most people are. Exactly. They have that aggression. Again, just reading Bill Gates, very insecure on the inside, probably pushed around on the inside. So highly intelligent. Again, you got to give him that. And it's like, well, I'll show people, I'll control. I'll influence people. Basically, that's his major theme. I want to influence, so I feel like I'm, somebody. But deep inside, no matter how, the thing with that is, the more influence you have, the more control you have. What happens is that the more you see what's incongruent with you, so his incompleteness magnifies and it destroys him even more. And then this is where people want to consume more power, right? They need more power. They need more control. They need more money. They need more whatever, because that's the pattern that they think will resolve it. And it's just an instant that they feel that greatness, but it dissipates rather quickly, especially as you go to the higher realms like he is. He got massive amounts of money, but again, the more he has that, or control, the more it destroys himself. So my concept is, again, the total flip. So we'll just take a minute, guys. We'll be right back. We're with the analysis. We're gonna, we'll analyze you. What that means is that those people who aren't, especially if I've read you guys, please don't ask to be scanned again. So the people who are new, again, say, hey, scan me. I'll analyze you and I'll tell you exactly what's going on with your life. You don't have to tell me a thing. I'll tell you exactly what's going on with your life, and then help you shift and get you on that path. All right, guys. So we'll be right back. All right. Just one-on-one, I've worked on, say, close to 100,000 people. That's a lot of understanding the deep level science on how human potential works.
I must say, I started this conversation being 100% skeptical. Well, I don't know how you do what you did, but you turned me into a believer.
When I talk about starting fresh, that doesn't mean, you break up with a relationship or you're in a relationship and then you set down new boundaries, you set down new rules and guidelines, because that doesn't work. It hasn't worked in the past. And the reason why it hasn't worked is because you're still the same person. I've had 2 near-death experiences. From those 2 near-death experiences, I've realized that this reality can be very, very different. I'm actually here to change your underlying program on how you see yourself in relationships. Let's do that. Let's kind of follow up on how you guys feel, maybe bring you all together, and we'll just do a brief synopsis. I think that'd be really cool as well. Hey guys, we are back. Thanks for joining us. Again, this is the second part of Moss on Sundays, where it's a life analysis. So what that means is that, I analyze your life. You don't have to tell me this isn't, you're not going to sit on a psychiatric couch and go, hey, and tell me your stories and all that. I just basically get to the point of what's going on with you. I don't need to know your name or anything like that. You just say, hey, Moss, can you analyze me? One thing before we start, if you say, hey, Moss, analyze me, you give us the right to, analyze you, share your information in public, obviously. Some of the intimate details I'm not going to share anyway. And then also you allow us to use this clip to be in public, on public record, or other media as we see fit. Obviously, your name isn't there, so it doesn't really matter. So if you don't want that, don't ask to be scanned. It's pretty simple. Okay, if you want to remain private, that's totally fine. You can do a private session with me, and we can talk about that. I should have read the whole disclaimer, but it's about this long. And Yami, maybe in the future, I'll do that, so I can read the whole disclaimer. And Nancy, she's a beautiful woman that I got introduced to. She does rainforestflow.org. If I'm not saying that, Nance, can you comment back in? I know you're listening. So I think rainforestflow.org. Yeah. What she does, we sponsored a trip to the Amazon to help bring in water, not like carry in water, but create a water system for the tribes deep in the Amazon. It was one of the fantastic experiences that I brought my sons to. Really fantastic. So thank you for that. They are an organization, a nonprofit organization. So again, if you can help them out, that'd be so fantastic. Again, rainforestflow.org on that, and hopefully we'll do it again, Nance, and maybe a few lucky people can go with me on that trip this next time around. Right. So let's get to the scans. Again, whoever needs to be scanned. YouTube is messed up a little bit, guys. A lot of buffering, I know that. So sorry about that. Let's see. This is Magical Puppy Life. Moss, could you scan me, please? Sure. So again, I don't know who you are, anything like that, but it doesn't matter. The way my abilities work, it bypasses the surface layer. So for example, your domain name, right? Whatever domain, like google.com, right? You type in google.com. Underneath there's an IP address that's always there. You can change google.com into anything that you need to, but again, the IP address exists the same way. So I tap into your IP address. Simple as that. Okay. And then what I call your personal frequency signature. And from there, I can read you. So for puppies, Magical Puppy Life, whoever that is, you always seem to not feel good about yourself. You're not consistent with who you are. So what you do is you always gravitate to something or a group that makes you feel good, right? So you're more of a, still have, if you had a fever, you still have the fever on the inside, but you'd cool yourself down, or you take younger, it seems like you would escape life, right? It's like, well, my home life, say, isn't that great. Home life isn't that great, or I feel disconnected, not sure, maybe criticized as well. So what happens is like, well, shit, I'll just go somewhere. So it's always that escape type pattern, or going someplace to feel good and do feel good things. A lot of people do that, right? They go on a date, they go on a movie, they go on whatever, if they're like, and that's just the way your dating would be. You'll do a lot of activities, because if you sat quiet, you'll see how, again, the underlying, or the underlying reason still exists in you. So take a deep breath in. Let's put you into your body. You might not like it at first, but you'll start to see that, especially if you're doing the XI, especially if you're doing the 18-day singularity meditations, you'll see that you'll start to have that deserving nature, especially, again, even with the session. You'll get stronger, and then you'll come back into your body and stay with it, and then, or basically heal your eternal self, and then you'll move forward really happy themselves. This is Sonia. I'd like to be scanned, Moss. I'm doing my second 18-day. Thank you. Yes, so you are starting to realize the underlying reason on why your life happens. So really a fantastic job. And again, very fascinating. Again, if I'm reading you guys, just please comment back, not for my accuracy, because I know I'm accurate, but for you to go, oh shit, what, or for the non-believers, and again, not to prove anything to you, but for you to see that there's a higher level of, say, realities or information that we can all tap into, okay? Because we all have these abilities. So again, for you, Sonia, you've moved away from always having to prove yourself, because especially in relationships, no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, no matter if you were that trophy wife, you never feel good. Or if something does go wrong, you'd be the one to blame, or you'd be the one that would have to resolve it, or you'd be the one that would go, hey, it wasn't me, although it's always your blame. So that's the pattern that you run. But now, and then you always blame yourself, by the way, right? There's a difference between blaming yourself and then taking responsibility. So you do both, okay? So as you've come through the 18 days, again, especially the second 18 day, which is going on currently, what's happening for you is that you're going, wait a second, all this shit that's happened to me isn't necessarily all my fault, although you might be running the pattern, but all this stuff is like, wait, they could have done something. So you're moving away, say, the blame, but you're taking that responsibility, so that's what we're going to be doing in this session, is like, okay, that's the way my life was in the past, right? I took the blame, I took the responsibility, but now I'm seeing it differently. Okay? Now I'm seeing it's like, well, it was that person. So you're dedicating who's ever responsible or who's ever to blame. Obviously, your blame or your part of it, because it's not all of them, is that no matter what happens, again, the pattern that we're deleting here, again, not going, well, they did this, she did that, they did that, I did this. It's not about that. It's basically the frequency of you, the frequency of you, the frequency, something's going on here. Yeah. So it's the frequency of you blaming yourself or getting blamed. That's the pattern that I'm deleting, right? So you just are in a situation, because no matter what situation that you're in, good or bad, you go, okay, am I going to be blamed for this or not? No matter what it is. Right? So you delete that. This is the same thing as well, because people, especially with emotions, and I'll just work on you. But as a note, as I'm working on Sonia, if you run the same patterns, I'll be working on you as well. Okay. So again, all of us, let's just take a deep breath in. So this is the same pattern is that as you clean up, many of you, again, you might feel this way, and that's why I'm bringing it up for you. So you clean up, and then you feel like shame and guilt and so on that'll come forward. It's like, well, shit, I should go back and help so-and-so, and I should do this and that. It's not the situation that needs to get deleted, okay? With exponential intelligence, basically all the stuff that rises, okay, is the stuff that needs to be deleted. So what you need to delete, okay, is the emotions of guilt. That's what needs to get deleted. It's just the way you've been raised. That's why you feel guilty. So the emotion or the pattern programming of guilt has to be removed. Okay? So for you, Sonia, again, it's the pattern of feeling responsible or blaming yourself that has to be removed. Okay, you can do it another way. You can blame yourself to go, shit, I blame myself for not being my best possible self. So now I'm going to take the responsibility and do the best thing that I can do to, again, connect to that moment in time, right? So you can use that. If you're using worry, if you're a worrier, you can worry yourself on, well, shit, how do I connect? Just worry all day long on how do I become my my limitless self? Focus in on that. Just keep worrying about that, and you'll see how your life changes. This is from Jessica. Jessica Booth. Hamas, can you please scan me? Sure. It seems like you have relationship type issues, or you're always pushing away relationships. Yeah, masculine identities. So masculine identities, you seem, although you kind of run a masculine pattern, because yeah. So basically, what happens in your relation, the coffee, the person serving the coffee. Whenever there's a masculine identity, it pushes you. It makes you feel less. And then what happens is that you use a masculine identity to push back, if that makes sense to you. So it's say there's a dominance, right? Masculine dominance pushing you. You're female. The men that just run the opposite pattern. Okay? It's the same pattern, just different roles. So you have a masculine dominance that takes over you, right? Or pushes you, no matter who they are. And then you might feel this high, and then what happens, the masculine dominance comes through, and it's, and then you shrink, and then you get pushed, and then they come like tower you. And then what you do is like, well, that masculine identity is pushing me. I better use that masculine identity to push back, right? To equal it out. But when you do that, it doesn't really work out for you, because over time, you'll have to use more and more masculine frequencies to keep your space. And then that's where relationships break up, because basically it's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be any more masculine without losing my identity as a female. And then the relationship just breaks, and you break, and then you start over. So that's a pattern. So the key is, you can do all the stuff, psychology and all on the outside, but if you don't delete this pattern, which I'll help you do right now, or the beginning of it, I would suggest a longer session, because you're really on the flow. Really creating momentum, especially as we get into this, the third phase of the 18 days. You'll see that you don't have to lose your identity. You're just going to stand strong. So when you're with a masculine component around you, and by the way, I talk about masculine, it could be, say, a mother, for example. Yeah, your mother, really highly abrasive or dominant, again, from a masculine, because again, insecurities on the inside. But that's something else. Just cleaning that up for you as well. But you'll be, wait a second, I can be a strong woman. I call it the XI woman. I can be a strong woman and not hold on or use masculine tools to save myself, or to sustain myself, or to secure myself, or become wealthy. There you go. As a note, the driving event that we're going to do in June, drive. And there's a little story of this woman who fantastic. Well, the driving it was, but how confident she is and how she became a strong woman. So again, if you're thinking I'm a woman, the high performance driving event, again, it's the key to success. That one key trait that I talked about, guys. We're gonna take 3 days, and it's actually more than that. We're gonna take I don't know how long it is, 3 or 4 days. We're gonna take that and really instill it in you, so you are that one singular being that is going towards your better self. And it's for women as well. Anyway, let's take a deep breath in. So for you, again, it's about creating your identity of becoming a woman, Sonia. There we go. And then comment back, because I know you feel different already. I can see that. Oh, the 18A, the wind tunnel. Thank you for that. A lot of people commenting about gates. That's true. Most of those, again, they're talking about Gates' intelligence. Those individuals, you're right. They're not highly intelligent. He isn't the best programmer or coder or anything like that, but he knows how to, say, connect with people and manipulate people to get what they want. So anyway, this one, Lucy. Hi, Moss, can you scan me, please? Thanks. Sure, Lucy. Seems like you took care of somebody. Or it's like you took care of a younger sibling and a younger brother, from what I'm sensing and seeing. So, and so what happens with that is that you're a caretaker. So your intimate relationships will be of a caretaker nature, where again, you you lose the intimacy, and then you turn into a caretaker. So even if you're younger than the person you're dating, for example, you would be that older individual. So let's remove, or if you had a sibling that might have crossed over or passed away, whether it was, they lost a child during pregnancy, or a younger child that was ill, or the parents weren't there, so you took care of your younger siblings, those kind of patterns. So now when you're connected with somebody that you care for deeply, you love, it turns into, again, an older sibling taking care of a younger sibling. So, and that's the relationships pattern that you have. So let's remove that for you. Take a deep breath in. Just notice your solar plex. There is death in your family of children as well. So that carries a burden or responsibility upon you or upon the family. Say that somebody, say there was a death of a child, like 3-4 generations ago from what I'm seeing. Yeah. So there's a death of a child, and then an older child, like, not an old child, but, like 6 to 10, not a baby, basically. That death impacted the family. The resonance was so strong, it literally, the DNA, your DNA, or their DNA adapted to it, right? So that strife, and then just like your hair color, eye color, and all that, helping that child cross over properly for you. Just give me a second. Some of you go, well, how does he do that? He's just staring blankly in and around. It's more of will. At the stages before, in the back in the day, when I was first getting, I used to move my hands a lot. No, I don't need to do that as much. Literally, it's just you will something to happen, like I was talking about earlier, right? Because people will something to happen, and it happens. So again, just literally creating that. So, and I know it sounds kind of frou-frou and all that. It's really not. It literally is. In the future, and it's happening this way, right? Back in the day, we didn't have a mouse. We just had a keyboard, if that. And then we had, a mouse and keyboard. And now, we can talk to Siri or whoever, right? And get commands done. And now we're getting between their limbs, or they lose their limbs. They just think about moving their limbs and it moves. So, and then, so my abilities just go much, much further on that scale. That's all. So just a little bit more on that. So I can create or materialize for myself, but now, you go into abilities, much, much higher abilities, where you can create and materialize and transform and shift other people as well. So, and to do that, you have to have, integrity, because at the higher levels, that's how you get in, right? You have to have integrity at the higher levels to access pretty much everybody. I can access anybody's blueprint, no matter who they are. I don't care who you are, how highly classified you are, all that stuff. I can access your blueprint, see how you're running for you. Right? Would I change it for you without your knowing? No, not at all. That would be breaking that integrity, unless you would ask for it, say, at a higher consciousness level. This one is Naren, N-E-R. Can you scan me? Sure. So you're always in fear. You're always in fear. You're always afraid of what other people will think about you, do to you. Again, always in fear. And it comes from, I want to say, not even yours. It's like somebody who's been in war or some type of situation like that where they had to escape. Right, that fear, again, penetrating the DNA, and then the downline, you would have that fear. So, and this is where you get confused, especially nowadays, especially if you're doing, again, any of the XI work, that it's like, wait a second, why am I always in fear all the time? The situation that I am, that shouldn't be fearful. So you're doing a great job separating, because before, no matter what you saw, that lens that was in front of you, clouded your judgment, and everything was in fear and like panic. And it's like, I should do this, I should do that, all that. It's nothing about that anymore. Now you're separating. So you're having two identities again from the work that you're doing. It's like your fearless self coming through, and then that fearful self. And then it's like, it kind of confuses you. It's like you get into this situation and it's like, should I run from my fearless self, or should I feel guilty or scared and go back to my old self? Okay. So for you, again, it's a suggestion, but I highly recommend just going into your new self. Even if it's a brand new situation or experience that you've never experienced before, that's how you become, or that's how you claim yourself. So you've removed you've removed those patterns, again, hereditary patterns on fear, and you'd have to physically do things to complement or hold on. Basically, what I say, confirming your deletions, you physically have to, you physically have to do something to confirm that you want that new self. Okay? I can't do that for you. I can always bring you new probabilities for you, but it's against free will to go, this is what you're going to take. So I give you probabilities or choices, open those up to you that are available to you at the moment, and then you would have to choose by doing something physically different. Some really good questions. I wish I could answer them, but that take away from scanning. Let's see. This one is Kristen Ann. Moss, can you scan me? Husband and two sons? Sure. So right now, you're actually, in the past, from what I'm seeing, you were together, but you were together because of like fear, right? There's a lot of fear in you, and your two sons basically, no offense, but just telling you, you've suffocated them. Because again, not because you're mean or anything like that, but because of that fear. So say that again, an underlying fear in the family. Okay, it's got nothing to do with your lifetime or your husband's lifetime, but again, deep in the family, something happened, okay, whatever it might be, and now that fear has run through. Your mother always like fearful, so to speak. More than fear, there's something else involved in it as well. She steps out of her body. So you become fearful, and you're not exactly sure, but that pattern runs. And then anything precious that's for you, again, like your kids, right? You would like protect extra. So basically you've hidden, or, to me, suffocated your kids. Unfortunately, a lot of parents do that out of love, out of deep love for their kids. It's like, I don't want my kids to do it. But when you do that, you're wrapping them in the exact same frequency. That blanket that you're wrapping them in is the exact same frequency that you're trying to get them away from. So, and then what happens for them is that they start to become insecure or not completely sure, and they always have to gravitate towards you. And again, so you all come together as a fear space or not sure space, right? So let's take a deep breath in. Huh? But whatever you've done, again, in a very short time, it's like, wait a second, why can't we just? Because all of you, another way you would experience it again is that there's that liveliness, that there's that sense of adventure and all that. But it's like, shit, why can't? That's the real me. But what is this wrapping around me, right? That puts me into that state. That's why you can tell, especially now, that that's not you. Again, it's a pattern that you've inherited that is leaving you. It's not part of you anymore. So now, again, you're becoming more and more independent. Your kids are becoming more observed. You're doing that anyway, so really nice job. And as you become more independent, your husband actually follows suit. Your husband basically is pulled away and just observed the three of you, because he doesn't want anything to do with that pattern. It's like, I don't know what the hell they're scared about, but he's just going along for the ride. But now he's getting more and more interactive from what I'm seeing, because it's like, oh shit, they're letting go of this pattern or this ride that they were on, the ride of fear, right? Anyway, so now what's happening for you is that all of you are kind of coming together closer and removing or shedding those layers of fear. And that's what I was helping you with. So really, really nice job. Fear, it's a hard thing to delete. So people who are fear controlled or controlling, the reason why it's a little harder, it takes a little longer in XI. And I'm not talking years or decades, it just takes a little longer. For normally in XI, for example, 20, 30 years of therapy was probably like 2, 3, 10-minute sessions, if or less. So again, that's a hell of a, time difference, right? So people with fear just take a little longer, that's all. So, but again, not years. One more, and then we'll call it a day, guys. This one, Dawn, thank you for working on my chat question after the Sunday sessions the past 2 weeks. I felt the changes in myself, and then both on Sunday. So you're so welcome. Again, guys, it's not psychology or anything. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just shifting you into a different frequency. And then from there, your life just gets better, easier. This one is Karen. Karen B. Would love a scan, please. Yes, so you are starting to see, again, more in your head space. You've kind of disconnected from your body, but you've always wanted to feel that nurturing feeling. You've always wanted to feel that intimate love, all that connections from what I'm seeing. Yeah. So, but you could never get there. You get into situations and it starts out that way and it's an opportunity. It's like, oh, yay, I'm gonna start feeling myself. I'm gonna start feeling that intimate connection with somebody and all that deeper knowing of who I am. And then it's like, in a very short while, it's like, oh shit, same thing. So, and then you get disheartened and then that's where you are. So over time, people like you, people turn celibate. It's like, well, I'm not going to date anymore. I'm just going to be happy again, because you've gotten disheartened so many times, not just in intimate relationships, but other relationships as well, money and all that stuff. Right. So you just kind of close yourself off and then you want to stay stable. So, and that's why you close yourself off. And then whatever happens on the outside world happens, but then you force yourself to stay stable again, which is an incongruency. So in this mini session, again, it's like you found the reason why you couldn't feel that intimacy or that deeper connection. So you don't have to protect yourself or create this identity for yourself, and you're expanding. So let's put you into your body. Whatever you've done with XI and me has allowed you to go, you know what? It's time for me to step into time and space. It's time for me to feel my body. And probably after this session, as you step into your body, you might remember back on why you left it and stepped into your head. But the reason for that is like, you're going to go back, kind of heal yourself. And what you'll do is like, because you've grown so much, again, through the work that you've done with us, is that you'll go back and remember, or because your memory is faded, or you've colored your memory, so you don't really actually remember, or you don't want to remember, again, what's happened back in the day. You're strong enough, so, and those memories or those experiences have to heal, right? Not like psychology or self-improvement where we just fake it, right? And try to create another identity. This is about going back, healing that smaller self, the younger version. So you'll go back, and because you're at such a strong level, high level, you'll go back and go, oh, was that what all this stuff was about? Was that was holding me back? And then it's like, it just disappears. And then you're even freer. And that's the key. A lot of people, again, it's like it becomes more of you. You don't want to do that. You literally resonate at a different frequency. Those things just release. Simple as that. Okay. All right, guys, a lot of good things coming up. 13 Ways reunion. If you're new to me, if you sign up for the newsletter, you get 13 ways. It's over 13 hours on how to heal your love pain. Okay. Deep, insightful questions, to-dos, and then also deep rewiring meditation at the end of every 13 ways to help you rewire yourself so your relationships come through. And I highly recommend, even if you haven't listened to that yet, again, the reunion, because I'm gonna go through, and the people that I worked on in those reunions, the people that I worked on in those sessions, we're going to revisit, and it's only been maybe about 4 weeks, about a month or so, and we're going to see how fast they've transformed. So you can actually see before, after. Right? That's coming up this week. Take a look at Sajady.com for that calendar. Plus, we're having the driving event and a ton of other stuff. Surgery series coming up for you, and then also deeper singles relations, couples, and then we're also opening up events. So how to have that fantastic love affair, right? The timeless love affair that many of you will actually. I brought my partner on one of the calls, and people, and thank you for that. We're still getting comments on how beautifully connected we are. So how to have that type of relationship. So that event is there, or it should be up really soon. I know a lot of you are asking. Singles event, how to find a partner like that for you, how you can become that person to find a partner like that. That's coming up. The driving event, it's a free call if you go to xiperformance.com/drive. Okay. It gives you all the details. So watch the videos on that as well. And it's a really great learning lesson, again, on how to hone that trait for you as well. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Notice what you notice. Notice the details of what you're noticing. And again, please subscribe. Please like this channel. Tell other people around it so we can grow this community and it gets even better and more fantastic for you. All right. Thank you so much.